Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volume 6 of Asadora. With this episode, we are caught up with the English physical releases of this series and I am so stoked. Well, stoked to be caught up, but sad that we're gonna have to wait a couple months, I believe, for volume 7. But this was another absolutely wonderful volume in this wonderful series.
I have to say that I gotta eat a lot of crow on this one because a lot of the things that I said was gonna happen did not happen. I got a couple things right, but most of this stuff was. I mean, for starters, there is no time skip. Time skip is a lie.
That is indeed true.
It is never gonna happen. And so I just want to apologize to everyone who listened and believed or also just were indifferent about it all. I'm sorry that you had to listen to that, but we're here. I've learned, and I promise to not give any crazy predictions like that until next volume.
But it happens to all of us.
Some more so than others.
I will say I got relatively lucky on at least 2 points in regards to speculations last time. But I will admit it was pure luck. But anyway, I suppose we'll get into the character discussions. Starting, as always, with Asa Asada. For starters, I really love on the first few pages of this volume, how Asa came back home, from having, stopped a freaking kaiju, saved the lives of thousands of people, I guess, and immediately she has to hurry off to school, like right away. And I like, or it reminds me a little bit of like Peter Parker, like Spider-Man, kind of in how she's trying to balance like her normal school life with being, well, a hero, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's almost like a comic book superhero, teenager superhero in a way. Yeah, I like it.
Right. I mean, basically.
Yeah.
And I like that.
For sure. I guess she ends up getting the Prime Minister says she should get the Prime Minister Award, which she really should. But
yeah,
I wonder if she'll actually be given that, if they'll make that public or not.
Probably not. I reckon.
Yeah. So maybe you can cover up why she'd get the award, but I have a feeling she may not actually get the award.
Yeah. I mean, she got the transistor radio as a reward.
Yeah, that's the Prime Minister Award.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that the transistor radio became like a thing in this volume, especially since we were talking about transistor glamour in the last discussion.
Exactly.
But no, like there's a lot of pressure on her and like a lot of responsibility that, I mean, she is aware of the responsibility, but I don't know if she's like fully aware of like everything that the responsibility entails. I don't know. Like, because the Prime Minister said that Japan is in the hands of Jisoji as well as Asa right now. Like, the future of Japan rests on Asa's shoulders.
Is what Jisoji said, yeah.
Right, true. That's what he said. But like, it is a huge responsibility, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure that Asa just fully realizes just how huge it is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think some of it was starting to settle, like how big of a responsibility it was when she realized she had to be on the clock, ready at a moment's notice at all times, basically.
True. Yeah.
I think that was a pretty big shock. But you're right. I mean, she's still really going about life as her normal self, just ready to act when called for. But yeah, does she realize how important her responsibility is? Who knows?
Yeah. Little by little, she probably realizes it more and more, I believe.
Yeah. But I did love seeing her teenager side when she got the radio and started listening to songs and stuff like that. Like that whole interaction with the radio was just seemed to be pure bliss and just kind of an excited teenager.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, just see how much joy she felt over having that.
Right. And I feel like with Asa, you don't really get too many moments like that because she's taking care of her siblings. She's doing
True.
this flight stuff. Obviously, she has joy when she's flying, of course. But sometimes you don't really get to see her just be a teenager.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, so this one was worth a lot. And I especially liked how she was playing the music from the radio while Jisoji was trying to talk.
Yeah,
And, like
hilarious.
he had to like tell her to shut it off.
The battle is like, sorry.
That was funny. But she finally reunites with Shota again in this volume on the platform
Hallelujah!
by pure chance.
Yeah, pure chance. That was the interaction I honestly wasn't really expecting, but I was hoping for so much.
Right.
I wanted it. So I'm glad it happened.
Mm-hmm.
The unexpected.
For sure. And it was such a sweet scene, I think.
Yeah.
And then when Keiichi came along, Asa introduced Shota as an acquaintance, which
True.
to me felt like, I don't know, I think ultimately it was just like a somewhat thoughtless way of her to put it. Like, she obviously, I don't think it was her intention to like make their relationship sound smaller than it is or anything like that. But using a word like that, and obviously I don't know, maybe it's a translation thing, but with a word like that, it does make it kind of sound lesser, I think. And I don't know if Shota felt that way because of her choice of word there. However, I think she kind of made up for it later by kind of running after Shota when he left, and and that's she asked him what he wanted to say to her before Keiichi arrived. I think that gesture of her to go after him kind of made up for whatever harm she may have caused by using the word acquaintance, if it even did cause harm. But
yeah, if it did cause harm. You bring an interesting point. I feel like the word, I assume the word she used was shiriai, which translated is closest to acquaintance. I don't think it's as well, bad is not right, but as lesser as friend as it is in English.
Okay.
But at the same time, yeah, you would think she would have said friend there instead of acquaintance. So I'm not exactly sure, but at the end of the day, she doesn't treat him like an acquaintance. Like,
no.
At least not the way I treat acquaintances.
No, definitely.
I'll have more in that interaction with Shota. I'll probably save most of for Shota's section.
Right, yeah.
But when she's taking care of the woman in her home, I forget her name. She says a phrase that I thought it just gave me pause. Don't cry, plan. And it sounds like something that my dad would say, to be honest.
Oh.
Don't cry, plan. But I mean, obviously there's nothing wrong with crying, but I think there is something to be said about moving forward or having a hope for the future or having a goal and planning or something like that. I don't think that's bad advice at all for certain people, and certain people cope or move forward in different ways. But I liked it. I thought it was a simple phrase, but one that made me think.
Absolutely, yeah, I love that too. Really, that scene as a whole was surprisingly sweet. I thought, like, it only lasted for I think about 3 pages or so, but I thought it was really touching, like a really touching interaction between someone young and optimistic like Asa, and then someone old and frail who might not have, I guess, the best view on life. And for Asa to really be or have a positive influence, kind of supposedly, hopefully, and I think she does, and I really hope at this point that this woman will come with Asa to Mexico. If they end up going there in 4 years, it would be. I think that would be sweet.
That would be. I think you alluded to this already, but she does call Shota friend here when she's talking to the lady. So,
Oh yeah, that's right.
At least she does say it eventually.
That's true. That is good. And then there was the scene where Asa sold the hand lotion to the to the lady,
Yeah.
which I really liked the scene. Like I thought it was a nice like interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Though I'm unsure, kind of if it added anything to the story as a whole.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
agree.
Like maybe it will become relevant or like important,
Maybe it could.
but at this point I don't. I don't know.
Maybe there is some sort of, because she showed her face, or because her interaction with people like it helped her image. I don't know, but
Hmm.
yeah, it does seem almost like Urusada just wanted to show that she can do anything. uh, I yeah, I mean, which is fine. I mean, having this kind of skill is not bad.
Hmm.
Although I don't like sales in general, so at least in this,
Yeah.
door-to-door sales and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I hate it with a burning passion. But I mean, hey, charismatic people are gonna charisma, so
Absolutely, and we definitely know that she's charismatic, and
yeah,
this scene only kind of cemented that even further.
for sure. She has to sell facial cream to the monster. That's the thing. There we go.
Yeah, that's the end boss.
That's the end boss. If you really took care of yourself, you'd really sparkle. I don't know about that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's all I have about Asa specifically.
Yeah, me too. Then next, let's move on to our boy Shota Hayata.
Shota!
He's back into the story properly with this volume. And
Yeah.
I got very lucky with my speculation on that last time. But I'm very glad to see. I mean, everyone's very glad to see him. I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm elated that we got so much.
Yeah.
I'm also very worried. But
Yeah, we probably may have a little reason to worry, but well, to no one's surprise, first of all, he is under a lot of pressure from his family to get into the next Olympics.
yeah,
And he is being abused both verbally and physically in this volume, which is not fun to see.
no. Yeah, we had seen that his family can be supportive in certain moments. For example, when he didn't make the Tokyo Olympics, they just moved the goalposts to the Mexico Olympics, and it's like we'll try again. And I had a little better feeling about them.
Mm.
And I don't think they're completely terrible, but it's just too much. And
Yeah.
the way they pressure and put all of this on his back,
Mm-hmm.
it's not healthy. It's not good.
Definitely not.
And I don't know. Someone needs to stop them.
Yeah, it's like I don't doubt that they love him. You know,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
but they have a unhealthy way of kind of showing it.
Yeah.
And so, a little after his reintroduction in this volume, Shota receives these performance enhancing substances from the other newspaper deliverer. And apparently, it's the new stuff. Like, he says it's a little different from what everyone else is using.
Oh.
Which is also kind of extra fishy, kind of, I think.
Yeah, true.
And spontaneously, Shota is very against it, which is good. One should be. Even though at the time it supposedly wasn't illegal yet. It wasn't until 4 years later that it would become illegal. But still, it's immoral, and I think Shota definitely feels that.
Mm-hmm. Do you? I forgot to ask before recording. Do you have Mickey as a separate character?
No, I got him here, if there's anything here.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I remember when we had talked about it in previous chapter. I thought, oh, he's not so bad of a guy. He seems to support Shota, but nope, he's a dubious one. And
Yeah.
I guess maybe I don't know. I mean, he's definitely using him. Had he had always thought that, I'm not sure. But yeah, at the very least, I really wish Shota never met the man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he got tangled up with that guy.
So we'll see if how much of a role he plays going forward. If he'll just keep egging Shota. I mean, it all depends on what Shota's answer is to to the performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah,
Will he take them or not?
precisely. So there's definitely reason to worry about our innocent boy.
Yeah.
I love how he even refuses to think that anyone would use substances like that. Like he's so pure.
I mean, he's working so hard he can hardly stay awake. But I guess bright side, he does end up meeting or reuniting with Asa that way.
Yeah.
And we get that scene as you mentioned. It was so funny trying to see him trying to act all tough. I mean, it was a bit cringy too. It's like, oh, dude, don't know. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But very typical teenager thing to do. Maybe is like make yourself look good in a way.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
We all kind of do that.
I think it's a common thing that happens to a lot of people do. And yeah, maybe not the best thing to kind of lie like that. And it seemed to me like Asa believed him, and well, but ultimately it's probably not a harmful thing. Like I don't think it's overall bad, that lie in itself.
No, I don't think it was either.
No, but he was very close to having a moment of very open honesty with her.
He was
nearly telling her that he likes her. Which is pretty big, because I don't know if we didn't have anything like clear on like a ship between, like obviously we were shipping them and stuff, but I don't think we actually had anything like super clear to base it on, right? Before, or did we? Other than them being close.
I feel like you could tell that he had feelings for her, and especially in the way he would mention her and whatnot, but I don't think we had the confirmation that he was going to confess or anything.
Right. Yeah. So this is a pretty big moment, even though it was interrupted. It was pretty major, and then we got to see him kind of get a bit jealous, seeing Asa talking with Keiichi. So he left, but by the end of the scene, he told Asa that he's gonna win a medal in Mexico and place it around her neck. Now, if that's not a love confession, I don't know what.
Right? When Keiichi came there, I was like, no, he was about to. Shota was about to say, he was about to confess. Of course they do that. But then they have this line, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. I mean,
yeah.
Because this manga is what it is, I'm sure they're gonna have to have a moment where of some sort of clarity and confession to each other.
Yeah.
But I really liked that statement in replacement of saying I like you in a way.
Right? Yeah.
Like, to me that was very romantic.
It really was. Plus Asa's response saying I'll be waiting.
Yes.
That's also really romantic.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was more than I wanted, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And plus, again, Shota's unsent letter to Asa, where he literally said, I love you in Spanish.
Yes!
Like, there's so much here. So, James, at this point, I think we're quite safe from the Asa x Keiichi ship.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, after that, not just that interaction between Asa and Shota, but it was also Keiichi's reaction to it, which he's like, didn't even give it a pause or thought anything. It didn't even faze him. So to me, that seems pretty firm that won't be an issue.
Right.
Although, like you said, Shota did seem to be a little bit jealous or less nervous that she was talking to an older guy. So maybe he feels like there's some sort of love triangle going on. But I'm a lot more confident that is not going to be the case.
Right.
So, yeah, I love that scene. So glad to have him there with Asa. But then we get the marathon.
Yes.
Which is kind of the exciting, but a little bit of a heartbreaking moment, although we don't know exactly how it ended. But the whole conflict where Shota is pretty confident that he didn't run enough laps to reach, was it 32?
I believe so.
Like he missed one lap. When I was reading it, I kind of wondered, it's like maybe Shota was off though. Like maybe
could be
everyone else was right.
Right.
And I guess that's still a possibility, but I've got a feeling that Shota didn't miscount, and he's actually right, and his family is not. Um,
Yeah.
and allow me to go into speculation
Yes.
potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it could easily be that they just miscounted, like the dad just had a brain fart. That could be possible, or it could be the family knew that he was a lap behind, and they knew that what's his name was just coming around the corner,
Mm.
so they just agreed to say, "Hey, this is your final lap. Go, go, go!"
Oh.
That kind of a thing.
That's interesting.
Maybe just to try to lift up his spirits. Now, maybe that's giving them too much credit, especially for how they treated Shota. But
Yeah.
I also wouldn't necessarily put it past them, again, because of how they embraced the fact that he didn't make the Tokyo Olympics, and they're going to move on to Mexico Olympics. But again, like, that's just one possibility.
Yeah. No, I could see that as well.
I mean, it would be a confidence booster if you were to believe that you were neck and neck with the winner, the gold
Absolutely.
medalist.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's interesting because I definitely also gave this a lot of thought. It seems less likely that Shota's family miscounted
Yeah.
than for Shota to have miscounted
Speaking as a runner,
because for one he's running and kind of focusing on that, and also they are three people and he's one person. Like I feel
mm,
like it's for all three of them to have miscounted seems very unlikely.
yeah.
Unless it's something like you said, like an intentional thing. Uh,
Mm.
that is, I guess I could see that. But if it's a genuine miscalculation on either side, I think it's more likely to be Shota who miscounted.
That's a good point.
Although I guess a point toward the fact that it was the brothers and the father who miscounted may be the fact that I mean we literally saw them crying with pride as he was running, and like I guess
Mm-hmm.
in that accelerated state maybe they all somehow miscounted or somehow something
Yeah, I'm not sure.
However, a point for why Shota may be the one kind of being confused or unfocused. I had a thought like maybe it's because he took the drugs
Oh,
before this race. Maybe we didn't see it, but maybe he's on the drugs currently.
no.
And that would explain maybe partially why he's doing so well and partially why he may potentially have miscounted. And yeah, I know that would be
Oh,
pretty bad if he
no.
did, but I know he's been like this volume really kind of reaffirmed how much pressure he's under and how tough, his current situation is. And with this guy kind of who gave him the drugs being the way he was, kind of manipulative and everything, I could maybe see it that Shota took the drugs, and that would explain some of this.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even think about him having taken the drugs already.
Mm-hmm.
Man, interesting. Um, speaking as a runner, I have had, especially when I'm doing laps, I have had moments. It's like, wait, what lap am I on again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be quite forgetful because I get lost in my thoughts, and then I forget to keep count.
Mm.
I mean, that's why it's so much better to have someone there with you who's doing the counting.
Yeah, yeah.
um, no, I'm not like a marathon or a professional runner. It's just a hobbyist.
Mm.
I do it to burn calories, but yeah. So I could easily see him losing count, but the way that he was so specific about which lap he was on and his feelings,
Mm.
it felt like he had a pretty good understanding of what lap he should have been on. But that said, I think I would love for him to have miscounted and have it be a huge confident booster for him. But I am worried that he's going to finish the race. His family is going to be super proud and say, "Oh my gosh, we're getting that gold in Mexico."
Uh-huh.
And he's going to feel even more pressure
Uh-huh.
because he's not there yet. And
Right.
then the temptation of the drug is really going to come strong.
Oh yeah. I think that's a really good possibility as well. If he hasn't taken the drugs already. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, drugs are not good. Don't do drugs. But I guess that's all on Shota.
Yep.
Then moving on to Haruo Kasuga. He becomes a struggling makeup salesman. And Asa tells him to smile. But I don't know if that worked. I thought he was a little bit cute though when he smiled. Like on the train.
Like, I mean, it was kind of mean, but people were laughing at him.
Yeah.
Maybe they also thought it was kind of cute.
Right.
Too,
yeah, it could have been laughing with him, not at him. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Though probably not, to be fair.
The line I like from him that Asa uses later on: "You only live once. You might as well do what you like."
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, words of wisdom right there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to take risks in order to achieve your goals.
It's true.
And I really like how he really helped Asa understand in that moment how, for Miyako and Yone to approach their respective dreams is really not that different from Asa herself striving to become a pilot. Well, she kind of already is a pilot, but yeah, like, they're all doing things that can involve risks, but it's their dreams, and it's what they want to do, and yeah. So, of course, they should go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asa definitely learned from him there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else on Kasuga?
I do not.
All right, then let's move on to a new character, Lieutenant Kosugi.
Yeah.
Of the Self-Defense Force. He became the first character of the series to say the word kaiju.
True.
Which is kind of big, I guess. 6 volumes in.
Oh, yeah, totally. Absolutely. It confirms that this world has kaiju.
Right, precisely.
I mean, it's our world, but we were kind of unsure if, like, is Godzilla a thing? I mean, that's not a confirmation, but the concept of kaiju is a thing.
Precisely, yeah. Like, it's probably exists like a film genre or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he also kind of briefly mentioned the possibility, like, if it's not a kaiju, then at least it's a weapon that looks like a kaiju, which matches my speculation from last week.
Right. I thought,
obviously, it's
interesting.
It's far from confirmation, obviously, but it was still funny that it was mentioned at least as a thing.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Anyway,
I really can't blame this guy for being so suspicious and interested in this. These strange circumstances surrounding the kaiju. I think it makes sense. It's fair. I think he has a tough, kind of mean exterior, but I don't think he's a bad guy.
Oh no, I don't think he's a bad guy. He's just definitely a tough seaman. You know?
Yep.
Naval guy.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what role his character will play. I imagine he'll just become very invested in hunting it down.
Yeah.
And in that sense, maybe we'll try to be an asset to Jisoji and Asa. Maybe kind of be the guy who has their eyes out in the sea.
Right. Yeah. That would be interesting. Yeah, because at the end of the volume, he does get to see the kaiju emerging from the waters of Tokyo Bay, and Asa Asada is on her way. Oh, that rhymed. But yeah, their paths are probably going to cross in the next volume because of that. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Is that all on Kosugi?
Yes.
Then let's talk a bit about Miyako. She has indeed decided to become a professional wrestler.
Hey, I got that right.
That is awesome. Yes.
That's like the one thing. I thought it was great that she finally got a bit of a moment to shine. Because before she was just maybe a little bit annoying and didn't have a whole lot to add to what was going on other than being a point of conflict for Yone. But here we really get to see her kind of grab her dream by the horns and attempt to get into the world of wrestling, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I loved like the brave, serious look on her face. Her demeanor kind of changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool. And I also love how nicely it all worked out with, her finding out about Yone's, the secret that she's been keeping, and that she's not upset about it because she doesn't have that same dream as Yone does anymore. So it all kind of worked out.
It really did. It was a bit anticlimactic, not gonna lie, but I'm glad it wasn't this big dramatic burst into tears. Never want to
Yeah.
talk to you ever again. I'm so
Uh-huh.
glad it's not like that. And it was just yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Right. Yeah. Like there don't appear to be any hard feelings at all between them right now. So
At
that's
all.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mm.
If anything, more of a rivalry. Oh, she can't upshow me. I'm gonna be great at this.
Exactly. Yeah. Or yeah. Precisely. Rivalry, even though they're in completely different fields, but yeah, like they're pushing each other, I guess, or motivating each other by
Yeah.
doing as best they can in their respective areas, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting to see how wrestling became such a big appeal to her so quickly.
Yeah. It's true.
Like it took like no time for her to just immediately know that this is what I want to do. I want to become a professional wrestler.
I
Um,
mean, when she got saved and just saw them being so cool,
true.
it made a huge impact in that previous volume.
Definitely, yeah, that is definitely true. Yeah, like being in that specific situation probably helped her, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, see the awesomeness, I guess, in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of made me wonder, kind of, if there's anything out there that I'm currently unaware of, but if I would see it or come in contact with it, I would absolutely love it and want to like dedicate my life to it. Like I just thought that was an interesting thought, kind of that I got through Miyako here.
Mm.
Obviously, one can't know until it happens, I guess. But it's just interesting to see how just one chance encounter can really change a person's life.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a prediction about Miyako, but I will save it for our prediction section.
All right,
That's okay.
sounds good. Then let us move on a little bit to Yone. She's now fully pursuing her goal of becoming a professional singer.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, still working with Noto. Even the previous guy is back.
Yeah.
So I thought they would have told him to take a hike, but I guess he's got a stake in this too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's interesting. I hope to well for there to or for something to come out of that maybe
I guess he was the one that had the connections to the vocal trainer, so
oh yeah, that's right, that's true.
I guess he showed his usefulness in that way.
Yeah, yeah, and even though yeah, both Noro and that guy,
I can't remember his name.
yeah, I mean, was he ever named? I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe his name was on a door. Actually, I'm not sure.
Perhaps either way, both of them like I'm a bit like kind of wary of them both for various reasons. However,
Yeah.
I don't ultimately I think they're both harmless enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily worried, but still slightly wary, I guess.
I think my wariness has passed. To be honest, I think that they're giving her vocal lessons and going all out here. I don't. The only thing I would be wary about is her not maybe succeeding, but I think for what the story is, I think she'll become a famous star in some cases. Maybe there'll be a crash and burn in her future, but
Hmm.
I really think she'll shine.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, she has a tough path ahead of her,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's already pretty tough. I mean, that vocals
that scene was
teacher.
kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the facial expression or just how intense the vocal teacher was, but
Uh
still, it was like
huh.
ah.
Yeah. So like it's stuff like that. It's not like I'm necessarily wary about anyone like necessarily doing anything bad to her in that kind of a way, but just kind of the whole process, I guess, that they're putting her into is tough and probably straining. And it's kind of like I don't know, maybe others may find would have handled it better. Maybe I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe this is exactly what's needed in order to get into this industry. I don't know.
I thought it was interesting that Miyako mentioned that, or I think it was Miyako who mentioned Yone would have given up usually by now, but
Right.
she's really going in all in and she hasn't given up, so
Mm.
good for her.
She's really passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then next, let's talk about Keiichi Nakaido a little bit. He did draw the monster after the fact,
He did. Yeah.
and that drawing revealed something pretty interesting about the hind legs of the beast.
You know, I'm going to be completely honest with you right now.
Huh?
I did kind of feel like in some instances it looked like a frog
Ah.
in the way it was sitting.
Ah.
However, I did not expect it to be, you know, completely bipedal in the sense that where it could potentially stand up.
Right.
Like I was thinking more of a leaping type situation, but
Ooh.
this is maybe even scarier, and could probably tie
Uh-huh.
into the kaiju we saw at the very beginning of the story, because that looked like it was one that was rampaging through the skyscrapers or whatnot, and maybe
Yeah.
that's when it was standing on its hind legs
Right.
potentially.
Exactly. Exactly. Assuming it's the same kaiju, I guess we still don't know if there's one or multiple, but
True.
but yeah. I mean, I guess so far we don't really have reason to believe there's multiple, but I guess who knows. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that is a good point though. And yeah, just how massive would it be if it stood up like on its hind legs?
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
it would, yeah, be pretty intimidating. But it got me like a little curious. Okay, kind of. I was wondering why is it crawling, or at least in that instance, why was it crawling like that? And I thought that what if it's like a baby or otherwise just so young that it can't walk upright yet,
Interesting.
and like maybe it'll start walking on its hind legs later on in time or something.
But if we remember from Nagoya,
Mm.
we only had that one footprint of the monster. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would make more sense if it was walking on its hind legs, on 2 feet, and there's less likeliness that it would leave a footprint.
I guess it could have been a handprint, maybe.
Or I guess a handprint. Yeah, that's fair.
I guess
That's
it
fair.
it I guess it works still, but yeah, yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
No, but that is a fair point though.
But you're right. Why is it crawling? You know what I mean? Like why? What is the point? I don't know. Maybe because it needs to stay in the water.
Oh yeah, I guess it could be something like that.
Eh.
Oh well. Next up, Kinyo. Supposedly she believes that Asa transported the blood transfusions, excuse me.
Did you do that on purpose?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
um, but anyway, do you think there is a chance that maybe she knows more than she's letting on?
um, I think she's suspicious about what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she knows what's actually happening. I think she just doesn't touch the government and knows that she's working with the government in some capacity. Um, whether it be the story of the blood transfusions or something more,
Right.
I don't think she knows that. But um, yeah, I think she's suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah. She can be pretty hard to read because she has like this one stern face expression most of the time,
Yeah.
and it's like
Oh,
I don't
dang.
really know what's going through her head.
I would not want to make that woman upset.
No, that's not a good idea. But yeah, I would love for her to fully get in on everything. I have been wanting this for a while.
Huh.
And it kind of seemed like she was getting in on it a bit last time, but this volume got me a bit unsure on it. But yeah.
I'm still waiting for the backstory reveal. I think we'll get that eventually.
Yes, that too. Absolutely. Yeah, we gotta. Was that all on her?
Yes.
Then moving on to Minoru Jisuji. He mentioned that if the American military would get involved, they might hit the monster with a nuke. And obviously, taking Japan's history into account, and obviously with 1964 being even closer in history, to those events, it's a pretty terrifying thought for someone, in Japan and in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And even for me who doesn't live in that time or in Japan, like I don't know, to me just the mention of the nuke and everybody's serious expressions kind of that came with that, I thought it was pretty impactful.
Yeah. No. And around that time, it not just how tender the obviously the tragic moment of the bombs dropping was. It was also a time where tensions were running high between the Russians and the Americans.
Mm.
We hadn't quite reached peak Cold War, I don't think, but I'm sure that the rumblings were there of
Right.
a nuclear war of some kind. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure the idea of Americans just dropping nukes left and right uh, would have been on their minds, and thinking that America would that'd be their first reaction to a monster like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that's not the case.
For sure.
And I'm guessing, based on the story has gone, I doubt that the monster will become international knowledge, or at least complete international knowledge. At most, it would be a rumor again, but that's all I think when it comes to America and the rest of the world.
Right. And Jisuji is, he's good at his job and he takes it very seriously. And I don't think he's going to let this type of information slip out into like public knowledge.
Yeah.
But do you have any other characters you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good on the characters. I just want to say I was completely wrong about the three girls' friendship melting in in this. Yone becoming a popular girl. I mean, I guess those things could happen, but it seems more like that they're gonna stick together, and maybe kind of be rivals in the sense. Well, I'm gonna be great in my field, as I was saying earlier. But that's what I feel like the story's going, more so than them dissolving. So I was definitely completely wrong about that.
Oh, good. But I mean, I could also kind of see it, but yeah, as I think we both are happy with where it is, where it's headed,
Yeah,
or where it seems to be headed.
Absolutely.
So yeah, all is good. Sometimes it's good to lose, because the alternative is maybe better than what we had predicted.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving into predictions then.
Yes.
Now, this time, for this upcoming kaiju expedition or encounter, it is very much looking like Asa and Kasuga will get to fly out together, unlike last time.
Finally.
So that's gonna be great to see, I think.
I'm curious, because was it in volume 4? No, it would have been volume 3. I think volume 3 ends with we see that the Coast Guard sees the tail, or somebody sees the tail, the fishing boat or something.
Yeah.
And then the next volume is just like leading up to Asa's encounter with it, and then the 5th volume was actually fighting it.
Yeah, right.
So are we gonna have a similar thing where this next volume is just gonna be build up to Asa's encounter again, or are we gonna go pretty quickly into the encounter? I don't know. I guess it's more possibilities, but.
I guess Asa and Kasuga are already on their way, so I feel like
That's true.
they're gonna get there before the very end of the next volume.
Yeah.
And I believe they're going to, in some way, cross paths with Lieutenant Kosugi during that thing. I don't know how like communication radios and stuff works on like ships and planes and stuff. Would they be able to communicate with each other? Maybe if they would like be around the same place and fight or somehow scout the kaiju. Either way, it's gonna be something between them. Even if they don't necessarily talk to each other, they are going to make each other, or they're going to make themselves known to each other in some sense, so that maybe even if it doesn't happen next volume, they're going to, interact more thoroughly in a future volume. I think I'm especially interested to see Kosugi's role kind of moving forward, or kind of into this here, because obviously he's new and we don't know much about him, but I don't know. I think he's fascinating so far.
Oh, I don't know if I'm as fascinated with him, but I can agree with wanting to see what he brings to the story. Yeah, Yeah, in terms of will he interact with Asa, I wouldn't think that while she's in the plane there'd be any interaction. There could be a radio, I suppose, radio talking, but
Mm.
um, I almost feel like he'll see the plane and then try to figure out who is piloting the plane,
Oh yeah.
understand, like try to solve the mystery, and then that's how he ends up discovering Asa and I think eventually Jisoji or vice versa.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so there could be interaction that way.
That's that's an interesting thought. Like if he just sees the plane and decides to try to track it down later, I wonder
Mm-hmm.
if that's the route it goes, if he somehow kind of on his search meets the guy, like the newspaper reporter photographer guy,
Oh,
like kind of bringing him back into the story,
oh man, yeah, I was wondering about him.
and maybe through that guy, Kosugi is able to locate Asa and Kasuga.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Although
Mm.
supposedly the reporter doesn't have the photos anymore.
True. True.
So maybe
True.
then again, yeah, maybe not. But I don't know.
No, but I have wondered about him
Right.
for sure.
Because he just kind of disappeared, and maybe that's all there is. Like maybe he was supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, he was a scumbag, so
Yeah, definitely.
because it's fine in the end.
Hmm. But is that all on speculation on that front or that part of the story currently?
I think that I mean we talked. I mentioned the possibilities. I'll go out on a limb and say that we'll actually see the monster come out of the water this time.
Ooh.
Uh, meaning that it won't take a whole volume for the interaction. Like they'll get on the plane, they'll eventually get to it, and we'll see some sort of interaction. Maybe not the resolution of that meeting,
Mm.
but I think the latter half of the volume will have that encounter. I
Mm.
feel like.
Gotcha. I think my thinking on that whole thing is probably that I don't know. I kind of feel like we had like an action sequence with the kaiju so recently, almost too recently for a new one to occur now.
Mm-hmm.
So my thinking is more like maybe this whole current encounter isn't going to turn into a a fight or anything
Mm.
necessarily dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe the kaiju is gonna disappear or like I don't know,
Mm.
somehow.
That's a good point. I think that could still work in that it's there and then it leaves,
Hmm.
and the Navy people, Kosuki, are just like, what was that? But
Right.
Asa still flies out there and then flies back because you can't. I don't think. I don't think that that boat is meant for aircraft to land on, especially
Nah.
that kind of a boat. So there's no way they could interact unless there is a radio talk.
Hmm.
Maybe that could be it. Although
Yeah, it could be.
why would Asa talk to the Navy? Like she's supposed to be
That's true.
keeping herself out of it,
That's
or
actually a good point.
keeping her hidden. So anyway,
Mm.
uh, yeah, no, that is a very good point, and I actually do not think that uh, that is not a possibility. So yeah, I could see that as well. Mm-hmm.
Right. And and I guess if that is the case, then I guess narratively, what this would serve as would be as an introduction in some way between Asa and Kosugi, even though it may not be,
Yeah.
as we've said, maybe it won't be like straight up communication, but some kind of introduction. Like maybe as we said, maybe you'll just see the plane and take it from there. But I think something like that is needed in order to bring Kosugi into the main part of the story, kind of, which I assume he's going to, you know, end up there eventually.
Hmm. Interesting. I didn't think he was going to be such a big player, but if that is indeed the case, or if these events are the way we're saying, then yeah, it does seem to be he's being set up as one.
At least, I
Hmm.
mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just kind of got that feeling.
I mean, yeah, I will admit that his introduction does seem kind of not random, but if it's not a big character, then why?
And he was the first person to say the word kaiju.
True. He did say that.
He did say that. So, yeah. But on Shota's side of things, obviously, well, we have talked a lot about the predictions kind of surrounding that already, to be fair.
Right.
About the confusion about, well, the amount of laps and whatnot. So maybe there isn't too much else to say there. Although I guess, yeah. I think my main speculation, if I'm gonna try to stick to one thing, because I think I was kind of suggesting a few different ones, and maybe I'll say this mostly because it's maybe the harshest. As my main speculation is that Shota did take the drugs, and that's the explanation. Firstly, as to why he's doing so well, and secondly, as to why he lost focus to for counting the laps. So yeah, on that side, that's my speculation right now.
I'm gonna take the opposite approach and say he didn't take the drugs.
Nice.
Mostly because I didn't even think about it until you mentioned it. It would be very interesting or very dramatic, and I'd be disappointed if he did. But to your credit, he's obviously had a lot of pressure, and then he made that huge promise to Asa.
Right.
That could lead someone to make a foolish choice like that.
Right.
However, I think the conflict with the pills is going to come in the next couple volumes, where he is strongly contemplating because he feels like he wasn't fast enough and that he missed that lap, even though his his family are very excited and expect the world of him. So to give a concrete prediction, I feel like he will spiral into a depression of sorts, and be really, really tough on himself, and that's when the temptation of those drugs will come. But I don't think he'll actually take it. I think he'll be super close, but his admiration and love for Asa will help him get over this. Because the more I read, the more I feel like this story puts these characters into pretty dangerous situations, but always pulls them out in good, better light type areas.
Yeah.
Like Miyako, she was about to get beat up, but in the end, she found potentially her true calling in life. Yone could have got terribly molested, but she didn't. Now she's becoming a star. So I feel like in this case, Shota may have something very similar, in that he's like this close to taking the drugs, but then he decides against it. Ends up putting maybe even ends up putting Mickey in jail.
Oh yeah.
But maybe that's foolhardy. But anyway, yeah, that's my predictions there. And one other potential is that maybe his family finds the drugs, and that could lead to some awkward conversations.
That definitely, yeah. And yeah, I'm not gonna change my prediction, but I do agree with you that you're like the fact that like kind of the optimistic side of this whole story as a whole.
Yes, optimistic.
Like that is definitely true and has been true more or less the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think that is definitely very likely. I guess it's just part of me kind of wants to see something a bit darker.
Yeah. No, I can feel that. I just don't want it to be at the expense of Shota, man. Like, come on.
That's fair. Yeah.
He's like the one young guy character, and he ends up becoming a druggie.
I mean, to be fair,
at least performance enhancing drug.
Right. I don't expect him to like continuously use drugs.
That's fair. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, at least I definitely hope not.
I misspoke. Yeah.
No, but it's like a one-time thing. Maybe he does it. I don't know. Maybe one or two more times, but I don't think it's anything that he's gonna like stick with or like get addicted to. I hope. Now that would be dark. Like that would be actually dark.
That'd be really dark. I think towards the beginning, when we were on like a volume 2 or 3, when we just had a time skip, I I probably would have said something or believed something along those lines. But 6 volumes in, I feel like the story is not quite wouldn't quite go there. But
yeah.
But I agree with you that it would be nice to see a bit of darkness in this.
Right. But speaking of time skips, at this point, I don't reckon either of us is predicting a time skip for the next volume, right? Or
No, definitely not the next volume. Although now that I say that, it's probably gonna happen. But no, I really don't think next volume is gonna have one.
No, but I'm with you about that. Yeah.
And I'm even unsure about the volume after that.
Yeah. Same.
At this point, I'm just gonna let the story cook. I just didn't expect them to focus on the Olympics as much as they are. I really thought we would see the Olympic circles in the sky, which beautifully done, by the way.
Yeah, I love that moment,
and it was colored too.
Yeah, that was really sweet. It even got me to like search it up online to get like actual photos of
nice.
the real things, and that was really cool to see as well.
Yeah. I thought that would be the end of it, really, but no, like we got a bit of the marathon and people really, all the people in Tokyo getting excited for it.
Yeah, I love that.
And how it motivates Asa a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do like that aspect, and I'm expecting it to go on a little bit longer. I mean, we haven't even finished the marathon technically.
Right, precisely.
with Shota, so
yeah.
Yeah, I do have another prediction.
All right, give it to me.
About Miyako. So I was wondering, what her end game would be if she wants to become a wrestler. And I thought, well, what if she were to compete in the Olympics as a wrestler? However, Olympic wrestling wasn't adopted for women, at least. I'm not sure if it was earlier for men, until 2004. But they did have World Championship Wrestling for women for a few years before that. And a woman by the name of Miyako Shimizu won gold.
What?
In that.
Wait.
In 1989. But that was 89. So that's the thing. She would be like in her 30s, I think, if she were to wrestle then. But man.
Dude.
Miyako?
Dude.
Wrestler? I'm just saying.
And interestingly enough, out of the 3 girls, she's the one that we don't have a last name for. So it could be that.
I'm just saying,
dude. Wait, that's interesting.
That could be very yeah. So, I don't know if that's cheating, but we don't know if it's based on a real person or not. So
precisely, yeah.
Now, it could just be that Miyako is named after her. That's just what Urasawa did. I tried to find any information about her though, but there's no Wikipedia thing. I tried looking up her name in Japanese and seeing if I could find articles. At least besides her winning the gold, I couldn't. So I don't know how famous she is, but maybe that's why Urasawa would choose her to use her, because she's not as big of a name. Maybe. But to be fair, Miyako is not necessarily a common name. Anyway, my prediction is that maybe she goes to that. Well, I guess I should say these championships, I believe, were in Switzerland. So, was there really a big world disaster in Switzerland, landlocked Switzerland? I don't think so. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. But I think at the very least, she can still be, a star in the wrestling world, and Yone would be a musical star. And I mean, fingers crossed, Shota would be a track star.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these guys have a lot of potential to shine bright.
Absolutely. And Asa will become a legendary pilot.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Asa's thing is that her exploits and accolades are all behind the scenes and things that people would take for granted. I think that's the point of the character. This nearly perfect person in a lot of ways doesn't get any sort of recognition for all the incredible things she does for Japan and maybe the world.
Yeah. I
don't know if it's supposed to be tragic or just a beautiful sense of duty, but anyway, just it's very, very interesting.
Right. And like there are a few people obviously that do learn about her. Definitely those that are close to her, and
Mm-hmm.
potentially others might piece things together. Like, well, obviously the reporter guy did some of that, as well as maybe Kosugi will as well in the future of this series here, and maybe like through some of these leaks or whatever you want to call them, like she's never going to be like officially recognized, or like nothing is going to ever be known for sure about her, most likely. But
Mm-hmm.
there may
Mm-hmm.
be these whispers about her
Mm.
and like rumors. So I guess in that sense, yeah, becoming like a legendary pilot hero, I could see that.
Will she be like Spider-Man? Will she have to be in a costume and hide her secret identity?
Yeah, yeah, and use a made up name like the winged goddess or something like that. Yeah, yeah. But so stoked for Volume 7. I believe that's not until like October or somewhere around there. So it'll be a bit of a wait for that, sadly.
Yeah, I wonder what the pacing of chapters are for this. I guess
Right.
not too fast.
I don't think it's super fast, no. But I guess we'll find out, or we'll figure it out with time here. But I suppose that's it for this week.
Yeah.
Lovely. Then, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 7. Bye-bye!
See you later!
Actually, let me take a sip of this Red Bull.
Ah, Red Bull.
Time to sprout wings. Or something.